Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Let's break down the concept of an award show, right? And I'm going to be targeting the Game Awards because everyone's going on and on about the Game Awards. The Game Awards this, the Game Awards that. And I learned some stuff about, there's an outlet, that I followed for a long time. Kind of funny. And their rise to success has been great, for their community and stuff. Like, they even say that, the fans within their community are best friends. That's what they're called, is, all right, some kind of funny best friends, right? So very friendly community, like lots of acquaintances from that community. Well, one of the members left that, kind of got ousted for a joke he made a long time, a few years ago. And in his podcast, which I'll plug it's called Colin's Last Stand. Am I frozen? Okay, no, I just want to make sure. He was like, yeah, award shows, man. Like, it was kind of hard, Square Enix would partner with us multiple times a year. And then we would go to the Game Awards to judge. And it was weird for me to try and pick something other than Square Enix for their game because they had given us money and they had sponsored our parties and, like, they had done this stuff. And then I remember thinking, after listening to all these gaming podcasts, them being like, oh yeah, so-and-so did sponsor, Capcom did sponsor this video. We did get copies of the game, blah, 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 blah. And not to say that they would ever be, like, malicious with their intent or anything like that. But with any art form at all, the last thing you want is someone's money to be a deterrent factor away from the art. It's like, and also, beyond that, we have an opinion at Wannabe Critic, Wannabe Critic Productions, right? That's that we flaunt that openly. So do all of these outlets that have podcasts. And some of them will go into the nuance, right? But a lot of them, there's a lot of nuance missing. I remember, companies getting copies of Anthem and just singing praises about Anthem, when I think Anthem is an objectively bad game, like, that didn't cater to its audience. So how, like, there's so much that it boils down to. So there have been so many times I've listened to these professionals, quote unquote, give a review of a game, and I would think to myself, wow, you really missed the point of that game. Or, I don't agree with that at all. Or, man, I can't believe you're saying that. I thought that was awesome. So it leads me to the core thing outside of just, base opinion. At what point does it become just like, yeah, they paid for our commercial or they paid for our stuff, so we're going to give them like an A+ and put their name in for consideration to be best of whatever. And let's be 100% honest. The Game Awards are only fun for the reveals. It's like Christmas, E3. Like, that's all I care about. Like, so-and-so got an award. I mean, they do a lot of really cool stuff. Like, there's like a disabled section one year, like disabled gamers that are doing really cool things in the industry. And I followed some of those people, like the blind gamer, Steve Saylor, and stuff like that. But for me, it's just like, it's almost like you tried so hard to not be the Oscars or like not be that type of thing that you just ended up being worse a little bit, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. What's your take on all that? That was a lot to unpack.
Yeah. First of all, I'll ask you, do you know what the longest running award show is?
I think it's the Oscars, isn't it?
It is. It is the Academy Awards. That is the longest running award show televised in the United States. And, in the last few years, the Academy Awards has trailed off in a lot of its influence, right? A lot of its popularity. The reason why that was founded and started, care to guess why the Academy was brought together and started giving awards? Very simple.
To sell movie tickets?
Marketing.
Yeah.
That's the only reason it exists. That's the longest running one on U.S. television. Everything that has come since then recognizes the pattern and the value and the benefit of the marketing strategy, right? And so all of these awards, whether it's the Grammys or IGN's End of the Year award or whatever they have. I don't even know what they have, but anybody that's doing that and handing out awards is really looking to is either self-promoting or they're being paid to promote those things. Whether they win or not, that's up to a few to make a decision. But the whole reason any of this exists is to promote. And so if you're recognizing in these awards a bit of a double standard or something skeevy about it or not quite right, or as you mentioned, the podcaster Colin, is that
Colin Moriarty.
So if he didn't feel right because he couldn't vote for anything except the developer or the hand that fed them, well, then you're recognizing the reason why these awards exist. And so, yes, you can't put a whole lot of stock into what's being sold to you.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the issue, and this is why this entire thing exists. You care to ask, or you care to think about what my reasoning is as to why. And here's the thing. I don't wish any ill will to the Academy or any ill will to Jeff Keighley for putting on the Game Awards or anything, because it brings us all together. I'm going to watch it.
And it gives us great entertainment.
It does. And I'm going to watch it because I love getting hyped for the game like reveals, right?
Yeah.
But then to me it's just like, well, then just don't do an awards show. Like, literally get triple the amount of, if it's about promotion and marketing,
give us an expo.
Give us literally like make your own E3 then. Because I'm just so sick of like films or music or whatever winning awards or certain music not getting recognized because it's great, and like it really does boil down to the machine saying we are smart. We think we are smarter than you, and our opinion matters more than you.
Yeah,
and that to me is like no.
It really highlights that you need something like a J.D. Power and Associates. J.D. Power and Associates does not buy commercial time on television. They don't buy advertising space in magazines or anything that has to do with whatever trade they're giving an award out for. They're most famous for giving out awards. Who promotes those? The car companies that get those awards. This car was number one in J.D. Power Associates. Okay, but that's a reputable firm that is not self-promoting. They are giving an award genuinely for something that meets or exceeds the expectations that they're looking for in a good product. And I feel like for movies or games or music, you almost need to have a respectable source. But how do you get that in this day and age? That's really the question.
You hire the Wannabe Critic.
There you go.
Bingo.
Boom.
Solved your problem right there.
We'll give out our awards, and we will take no money.
Well,
wait, literally take no money?
Okay. I won't take any money. I don't need to do it. Look,
we don't make any money, so there you go.
I do, but you guys don't. No, I'm sorry. Probably shouldn't have said that. No, I'm just kidding. It's all fluff. It's all rigged. Yeah. No, I agree, and it's like, it's for the simple fact that anytime this podcasting house would have a certain host on, that I just thought said the most idiotic stuff I had ever heard in my entire life about video games. Literally every take that he had, I'm like, you are an idiot, and yet you've been given a platform, and you're an idiot, and I know that you're an idiot because there's 10 or 20 of us that don't like you and think you're an idiot. Yet your opinion somehow has more validity because you're attached to a brand, or it has attached to a production house that's like made money. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know. Like, it really doesn't. And it's not even the fact that these things exist. It's not even the fact that, like, they're doing literally the same thing that we're doing right now. There's probably someone out there that's like, oh, this guy's a little harsh. It's like, well, yeah, because they're idiots. With no perspective. See what I did there? I used the title of the show. It's the fact.
Well played, sir.
It's the fact. That's not even the thing. I can deal with idiots all day long, right? It takes one to know one. It's the fact that people use those idiots' opinions in place of their own and try to fight with you because they say, well, Game Informer gave this a score, and I've been guilty of it. We've all been guilty of it.
Yeah.
But you got to break out of the mold at some point and realize, like, wait a minute. I don't agree with this guy at all.
How often have we sat down to do a podcast and rate a movie or a game that we're talking about, and we're saying we don't understand how Metacritic got here?
Yeah.
You know? That's the day and age that we live in. You have to look at these scores objectively, and you have to look at them and take them with a grain of salt. I've never bought a game based on a score that it's received from a critic. I've bought games based on the details in the review of what the game is going to do, and I've made my decision as to whether or not I'm going to buy it. And so, really, you know, IGN and those houses are doing a disservice by putting a rating on it, if you're going to pay attention to that rating and base what you're going to buy on that rating.
Yeah, literally.
Give us a good review and then let us decide. That's really what should be happening.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's like, I like using a number. Whenever Jacob Bush told me that he was going to stop giving review scores, I was just kind of like, that is so, like, awesome, you know? It doesn't work with Wannabe Critic Productions because it's literally a gauge for our opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're using it to calibrate.
It's not me saying
dumb people have to justify ourselves.
Literally.
And a number is a good way of doing it. So that's what we're doing.
It's literally because
I give Jacob Bush's decision to stop using ratings, I give it a 1. Come on, man. Come on. Give me the number so I can calibrate my opinion.
Get wrecked. No, I think for me, it is a strictly... I try and be objective in terms of execution, right? So if a game is meant to be super detailed, it's obvious they were going for attention to detail. I take that into consideration. I'm like, well, how much is there objectively that I can say, like, yeah, you got it right there? To where it's like, if someone's to argue with you, it's like, you're an idiot. Like, what are you basing it off of? Like, for instance, I don't love Uncharted. We've established this. But Uncharted 4 is one of the prettiest games I've ever seen. I remember being astounded watching Nathan Drake being drugged through mud and being like, wow, that mud is really pretty, you know? And there's just certain things about games that you can't deny. You cannot deny. It's like if a game has a swath of options to, like, I think about a game like Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous is inherently detailed, right? That's objective. You can't deny that. But how dare you try and say you wouldn't like this if you like X, Y, and Z, because you don't know that. Or if you don't like X, Y, and Z, you probably wouldn't like whatever. It's like, no, there have been many a times, I'm not a strategy guy, but there have been certain strategy games I've played where I'm like, this is so fun. Like, I love this. But strategy isn't primarily my thing, and I've seen people say verbatim in reviews, if you don't typically play strategy games, you may not like this one. When that's dumb to say. So I don't know. I just think the whole, going back to the award show, like, really dissected it like outlet by outlet. But for me, the award show thing, it's just dumb. I hate it.
Who is it that used to break down? It's been a long time since I've looked. They used to break down their ratings by graphics, by story, by
IGN.
Multiplayer. Was it IGN?
Yeah.
They don't do that still?
They do, but I just don't agree with it most of the time.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, that's less egregious than putting a single number stamp on the whole. I mean... Yeah, I agree. Which I know they did that. I mean, in fact, they take all of those things that factors in, they get a number.
But still, that's based off of one person's opinion.
True.
Like, literally, people taking away... Like, the thing that comes to mind is Far Cry. The most recent Far Cry. People are like, yeah, it's just more Far Cry. So they took other games' formulas into consideration for the new game that came out, previous games. And it's like, I've been guilty of doing that in the past with albums, but again, it's like, if you found a formula you like, why would you change it? Like, you're You're literally saying that you don't like the publisher's decision or the developer's decision to do XYZ in their game just because you don't like it. That doesn't make any sense. Why are you speaking for the masses if you're not going to be objective? Why? Tell me, Ethan.
Because you got something to sell. That's why.
Basically.
Basically, yeah. No, it's a trap to call these types of places that we're referring to, that we're referencing here. It's a trap to call them legitimate reviewers, because really they're just advertising agencies. Their job is to promote the games industry.
Yeah.
And if that means having their palms greased by a few development houses in order to get a good review, or to make the top of a list of things
Literally.
that need to be reviewed,
I've seen...
then we have to look at it objectively as a compromised source of information.
Yeah.
And you got to take that with a grain of salt.
I see... It is one, and I feel bad for the outlets too, because it's like you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
True.
You get someone who's like super outspoken about something and like really has something to say. It's like, that's great. I didn't need your socio-political opinion. I needed your review of the freaking video game.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
So why are we calling? It's like, I remember reading the Far Cry review and someone being upset because of an ethnicity issue. What does that have to do with video games in that instance? Like, why are you pulling your personal feelings about something into a generalized review? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's happening in the games industry is the same thing that's happening in television and in movies, and in the socio-political climate right now is, if you're outspoken and if you're putting content out there that is getting 1 million views or whatever, however many clicks, if it's something of volume, then you're expected to carry a level of responsibility in guiding the opinion of the populace.
Yeah.
And where people should be thinking and where they should be giving their attention to.
Yeah.
And that's just part and parcel to the game. And they're playing the game. They're doing it quite well.
Yeah.
It's just how much validity are you, the person,
putting on them?
How much power are you giving them to
all
influence and make the decision?
Because people say, like, you know, and I was guilty of it like a couple years ago, like the Game Awards. It's like, oh, the Game Awards gave X, Y, and Z. It's like, yeah, but, and I do have to say, out of all of the awards shows, the Game Awards probably is the best one, honestly. In terms of just content of the show, because they have, you know, and maybe that's just because I'm a gamer, you know, and it speaks to me, but I love movies and I love music too. And all those shows are, I mean, I've watched them, like, as fans of all of it. And the Game Awards is less, the Game Awards is at least less of a fashion show, and at least showcasing the tech and, like, the talent within that particular industry.
Yeah.
You know, you can't have Matthew McConaughey get up and do a soliloquy about acting or, you know, whatever. But you can have, you know, the music from certain games being showed, and, you know, you can show off new things that are coming out. Like, there's just so many differences, like, between all of it. And out of all of them, like, I genuinely enjoy watching the Game Awards for the auxiliary aspects rather than the awards itself.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that I think half the game industry are idiots. And the argument would be, well, I've been in this industry, so I know more than you. But you don't. Like, you know more about working for an industry, but, like, how much stuff have you been able to openly say about anything ever without your boss chewing you out?
Now, I will say, because there are legitimate reporters out there that are trying to report on these things.
For sure.
And so we're not denigrating those people at all. But there is definitely an element out there that is bent, it feels like, at the behest or the whim or the outright paycheck of a developer that wants to create some buzz about their project.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
So I will say, Gabe, congratulations for taking the red pill and waking up to the whole thing.
Look at me go.
That's
Look
right.
at me freaking go. I just got up on the microphone super close. What do you think of that? Don't you ever look at me like that. No, I'm just kidding. That was just kind of my side rant for tonight. I don't know. Like, I just been getting so, like, pissed off about seeing all the stuff for the Game Awards and then not being able to talk about it with anyone. It's like, they are rigged. Like, stop thinking that the Game Awards are different. They are rigged, just like everything else.
Stop drinking the Kool-Aid, people.
Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. And while you can vote, guess what? You can vote all you want for something.
Now, it's interesting because you brought this up, and I kind of did a little mini deep dive into award shows and their history. And, you know, we live in a generation now that's present here, and see it for what it is. You're not in a minority here. I think there is a growing number of people, because you see dwindling numbers across the board with anything that's associated with an awards show, including the Academy Awards. Mm-hmm. Its viewership has been steadily dwindling for particularly the last 15 to 20 years, mainly because they can't get good hosts, but that's a side note. But, you know, it across the board, from music to video games to television, movies, all of it is seeing a decline, because I think people recognize the element of hypocrisy that just innately is inherent in that setup, in that marketing.
So how do we fix it then? How do we fix the award show formula? Because I have the best way to do it.
Well, I alluded to it earlier. You look to individuals that are not trying to self-promote. You look at people that are trying to objectively view things and are not on the take. And like I said, I don't know how you police that, and you shouldn't necessarily have to. I mean, their actions should speak for themselves. So you try to identify those groups of people that are not self-promoting, that are giving awards consistently, and the things that they're awarding match up with the popular opinion of what's good. If you can find that, then maybe you found a good source to look to.
I think the best way, personally, for me, is literally put it back in the hands of the people. Give the people, like, especially with the Game Awards, sheer numbers. Who wins? Make your categories, make your ballots, do your thing. Have a bot that literally tracks IP address submissions, and, you know, make those if, like, someone dials in 100 times, or make it to where it's like literally if they approach it from one IP address. I mean, how many IP addresses can you really have, you know, from a device? I mean, I'm sure there's some hackers out there or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like, regulate it.
Ways to circumvent, yeah.
Yeah, like, regulate it to where it's literally in the hands of the people, 100%. And it comes down to percentages, and whatever wins is what wins. Have a diverse best of category. Best of 2021. Have a shooter, have a racing game, have a strategy game, have a whatever game.
I think in the end, you know, you've got a great idea there. You'll leave it to the people. The problem is there are bad players involved that will game the system. And that is something that you inherently cannot take out of a voting system like that.
Well, no, you can't.
You see that across the board, from politics to entertainment. And so, yeah, in the final equation, the answer is you award a game that you liked.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna have to try stuff.
Or
and if it hits a certain mark, then have a podcast and tell everybody that'll listen to you about it at the end of the year.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. No, it's just, I don't know. Like, it was just one of those things for me. It was just like, God, this sucks. Like, everyone's talking about these games. I just think about, like, there's one person in particular that just talked about, like, Cyberpunk being like, I don't even understand how this is a game, like, blah, 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 blah. And Cyberpunk was broken when it came out. Unplayable in many aspects. And this guy is over here saying, buy Cyberpunk, it's great, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, but he got a great gas grill out of that.
Exactly. Literally.
Or, you know,
whatever.
For his car. His Subaru that he's got a big exhaust system on or something.
Shots fired. Well, once again, thank you so much for showing up today. I really, really appreciate it. Again, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing. I know that's the thing that all the YouTubers do. Everyone's asking to sub. The fact of the matter is that it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, and who knows, you might even see a video every now and then that you actually like or may be interested in. Not only that, I do a bunch of stuff, so make sure you check all the information down in the description down below. We got podcasts, we got Let's Plays, we got all kinds of stuff for all kinds of fandoms. So make sure you check that out. I would seriously appreciate it, and I would love to see you around here more. I am Gabriel Fast. I will always be the Wannabe Critic.